Hello, and welcome to Old Toy, New Joy, the show where I share with you my previously enjoyed toys I purchased from online sources, thrift stores, and collector's shows that once belonged to someone else. Like many kids growing up, one of my favorite things to do was to beg my parents to take us to fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Dairy Queen, Jack in the Box, Burger King, what have you. Not just because the food smelled so good when we drove by in the car, but because most of these places had toys. Toys that came with the kids' meal or the Happy Meal. And every once in a while, the toy would be pretty cool. Maybe it was linked to a cartoon or television show or movie or popular toy line, but it really didn't matter as long as we got that toy. We were fixated in the moment getting that toy. And as a father, I know exactly what it's like to try to convince your child, you don't want that toy. Let's go somewhere else. That toy's not great. And sometimes the toys were kind of cheap and crappy, but often they were really cool. And I have great memories of the toys that I got from those fast food restaurants. As a toy collector frequenting thrift stores, I've mentioned before that the toys are usually hung in little baggies. And the toys that I want are often bagged up with toys from these fast food restaurants over the years, usually the last 15 or 20 years or so. And often they're not really worth talking about, but every once in a while I'll find something that's pretty cool, or maybe something I even had as a kid. So today I'll be talking about some of my favorite fast food kids meal toys. Whoa, I heard it through the grapevine. Okay, I'll stop. While stop motion animation was popular in the late 1960s with all of those Christmas specials, claymation animation was a 1980s phenomenon, and the California Raisins were the stars. These guys started out as a Sun-made advertising tool in 1986, and by 1988, there were several different commercials all over the TV, and also before movies started, I remember the theater, a cartoon series, and several holiday specials. They were everywhere. I tried to explain it to my kids, they just couldn't wrap their heads around it. These things were everywhere. And if you were a kid in the 80s, you'll remember these things. They were created by Will Vinton, who would be responsible for the hugely popular claymation Easter special. I don't know if you remember that. I sure do. From 1992. There was also a toy line, PVC figures such as these. I think there was at least a dozen different ones out there, and also plush figures. So I have these 4 figures made by CalRab in 1987, and these very well may have been the ones that the fast food chain Hardee's in the United States was giving away or selling with their kids' meals. I'm not sure. If they aren't, they were very similar. But it was like a rhythm and blues, Ray Charles-y kind of 4 platters, kind of, I'm not sure what you would call it, sort of thing. And people loved them, and they were kind of new and fresh, and then they got tired. And the novelty wore off after a couple of years, as is usually the case. So just like the California Raisins figures, I also found these 3 McDonald's Happy Meal toys from 1985 in my local thrift store. And there was actually 4 originally, and as a kid I did have all 4. But recently I just came across 3 of the 4. We've got Motron, Velocitor, and Commander Magna. And these were sort of a Transformer kind of knockoff, because in 1985, transforming robot toys were huge. So let me transform them quickly for you. It won't take long. So there they are in their alternate robot mode. And they also have pullback action, but I'm not going to do that right now. So when they're back in their automobile mode, pull them back and let them fly. And then we have here 3 1995 McDonald's figures. And here we have 3 1995 McDonald's Spider-Man Happy Meal figures. We've got Spider-Man, a really cool Dr. Octavius, and Peter Parker, who can flip to a whole Peter Parker. His head disappears into his stomach, and then it's a little stiff, but it goes back. See? There you go. I see the Dr. Octavius all the time in thrift stores, and that's where I found these. It was at my local thrift store. Here we have a 1998 Ronald McDonald, the original McDonald's mascot, along with some of his friends, a 1988 Hamburglar, and a 1998 Grimace, as well as a 1996 clear Ronald McDonald clown car. Most kids these days probably don't even know who Ronald McDonald is, aside from maybe the television commercials for Ronald McDonald House for sick children and their families, which is a great cause. Because he was phased out several years ago. Ronald McDonald first appeared in McDonald's television commercials in 1963 and was portrayed by broadcaster Willard Scott, among other actors. Clowns were huge in the 1960s, and it would have been quite normal to show up to a child's birthday party back then and see a clown there making balloon animals in the living room. But over the years, clowns sort of lost their appeal. And McDonald's commercials and Happy Meal toys featured several incarnations of Ronald McDonald, along with his friends, the Fry Guys, Early Bird, Mayor McCheese, Officer Big Mac, all of whom sort of made their last appearances years ago. However, they were all very much around in the early 1980s when I was a kid. And in the early 80s, I was a huge fan of the Jim Henson show, Fraggle Rock, because I was a big Muppets fan, and then Fraggle Rock was just sort of an extension of that. It was more for kids. And I had all 4 of the cars that came out in 1985, I think it was, for Fraggle Rock. I also had a plush Gobo. He was the main Fraggle. This is Wembley, and I just can't remember this guy's name. Goober, or something like that. I just can't remember it. But it was a fun show. It was good. It was a good show. And that's a McDonald's Happy Meal toy, I believe. And I found that at a thrift store. Even though Jar Jar Binks was not a fan favorite, this is worth talking about. Kentucky Fried Chicken put out a set of kind of strange squirt toys and things when the Episode 1 Phantom Menace movie came out in 2000. So here's the Jar Jar Binks squirter. You'd fill him up with water and then squeeze him, and then water would come out of his mouth. He's a Jar Jar Binks. And these are cool. These are 1998 Burger King Star Wars kind of bobbly head toys. They've got sort of a well-known spaceship or spacecraft from the movies. And then the character heads kind of swiveling on top here. These sort of look like Clone Wars figures. And then the rest sort of look like normal Star Wars figures. And there was more than this, but these are the ones I've come across so far at my local thrift store. And if you've watched Old Toy, New Joy before, and I hope you have, you'll know that I love to pick up guides, price guides and guidebooks on collectibles and toys. Not for the pricing, because most of these guides are 20, 30 years old. Like this book here is over 20 years old, but it gives you a nice comprehensive look at what toys were available. And these are the toys that were released by fast food chains in the States. So the those little toy robots that I showed you, they were a Canadian creation, so they're not in this book. But this book is pretty comprehensive, like I say, and it goes through the last. Well, I guess it goes like maybe 60s all the way up to 2000. It's got some nice pictures, and it does talk about some of the things that I was showing you. So there's the Dr. Octavius. Here's some of the Phantom Menace toys that were available from Taco Bell, for example. So here are the Spider-Man toys that were put out by McDonald's. I would love to get a hold of some of these 1970s and 80s Star Wars glasses. Those are really cool. Haven't come across those yet in a thrift store, but that seems to me to be something that someone is eventually going to donate. There's the Jar Jar Binks squirt toy that I showed you. I'd like to find that Incredible Hulk Burger King bulldozer toy. I'm sure I'm going to find that one day. So thank you so much for tuning in to Old Toy New Joy today and allowing me to share my vintage fast food kids meal toys. If you liked the video, please like the video, and we will keep them coming. Please also subscribe to Old Toy New Joy, because there are over 100 episodes of really cool stuff, such as Masters of the Universe, Transformers, Hot Wheels, wrestling figures, Star Wars, Star Trek, Smurfs, Superpowers, hockey cards, baseball cards, Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, comics, and much, much more. Until next time, this is your Toy Whisperer saying farewell and happy hunting from Old Toy New Joy.